to tell the truth that we all know. There's very often confusion about what kind of truth we might be telling. Compare, for example, the two truths expressed thus: a bus is coming, or I am thinking of the number 5. Now, when you hear the first statement, what do? You quite naturally look around you, expecting to verify or disprove that statement in what you observe. Even though another person has come to know the truth or falsehood of the statement first, your most reasonable expectation is that you too can confirm the statement as fact or fiction. And when you do that, you are exemplifying the human ability to discern what is called objective reality, the kind of truth that exists outside of ourselves, so to speak, the kind we could all bump into. Obviously, this kind of knowledge is quite useful because you and I could cross a busy street, and since we value our lives, we could look for the objective truth of that quickly approaching bus. Now, you could call the bus a cat, or an ice cream cone, or deny its approach completely, but it wouldn't change the objective truth, that if we do not recognize it for what it is, then we get hurt. It reminds me very much of the time my twin boys decided to pretend that the metal table in our backyard was overflowing with ice cream. It was in fact winter and there was a layer of frost on the metal. And when their tongues stuck to it, because that is what happens when you lick frozen metallic objects, my 3-year-old boys learned the lesson yet again. Objective truth is there for all to discover. You see, we believe in objective reality so strongly that this is precisely what parents spend most of the early years on. Don't put your finger in the socket. Don't run onto a busy street. Don't run up to a strange dog. Don't touch the stove, it's hot. We do all of this because we know that no matter how much we might wish danger away, objective truth plays no favorites. Okay, well, let's contrast all of this with that other expression of truth, namely that I'm thinking of the number 5. Upon hearing that, what can you do to verify it as fact or fiction? Is there anywhere you can look that might give you any indication as to the truthfulness of the statement? Of course not. And yet we know it would be absurd to tell anyone that the number 5 is not on his or her mind. This is because the truth of this second statement, I am thinking of the number 5, is what we call a subjective truth. What is true in your mind cannot be bumped into or experienced by the rest of us. Notice too that we're not talking about individual opinions or preferences. No, what we are talking about is a reality of a construct, and that construct exists. And here's where we make the great link to our conscience. Because when we encounter truth, either subjectively or objectively, our soul, which has been flexing to get us to this point in our observation, stands by ready to flex some more so that we may act in accordance with it. But if we don't, if I see evil happening to my neighbor, and I still behave as if that has not objectively happened, or if I do not speak the truth of a subjective reality that others have a right to, what is locked up within me all the same, remember, not only am I going to have difficulty in the future doing what is right, but over time what was once clear and beautiful, true and good, becomes to our minds like a mist, a mirage even, that seems more like fiction than fact. Our conscience cannot function if it denies what is real. Neither can we. So let's get real with ourselves and others. Something to think about. Talk soon. Join me next week as we learn about the very real and dangerous mode of subjectivism and how, if you are not careful, it can take you completely off of your spiritual path. I'll see you then.